The most powerful tool that we all have at our disposal is belief. Belief in ourselves, belief in others, belief in the world as we know it. What our beliefs are and who we believe in, or what we believe in, can change the course of our entire lives. Sometimes that isn't as easily told to us as it should be. And I feel like when we can understand what belief means and what it can be, we can only get better from there. Looking inner, to start, mentioned inner belief. The idea that we tell ourselves who we are, and because we tell and we think of who we are, we act in some way, shape, or form to that standard. In some cases, not everyone is born with radiant confidence or radiant approval in themselves, whether that be from their environment. Maybe they had parents who would talk them down and talk down at them, or maybe they were put in an environmental situation growing up where they were the butt of every joke, or maybe over the course of time, over however long you want to put, they decided, whether it be they don't believe in themselves, or whether they think by doing so they can actually get to a better standing in life, they find that being the joke or being the butt of the joke can get them to where they want to be. For a future talk, I want to go deeper into this and how self-deprecation as a form of comedy and everything is actually a scam. It's one thing to be humble, it's another thing to poke fun at yourself and really not take yourself as seriously and throw yourself under the bus every chance you get. But all of that stems to belief. I feel like more often than not, what we tell ourselves and what we think about ourselves, as I mentioned, will ring true. If we tell ourselves that we are weird, that we are a little crazy, and that no one would want to spend any speckle of time with us, we shouldn't be shocked when that happens. Belief, I think, can translate into reality, and that's why belief is so important, because if you change your beliefs, if you change what you believe about yourself, more or less, once you truly embody that, other people will start to see you as that. And the hard part about that change is sometimes we go the first 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years of our lives telling ourselves that we are something. We are insert whatever. And the thing about inner belief is it can change, because someone can walk into our lives, a group of people can walk into our lives and look at us in a different light and look at us in a more uplifting perspective compared to what we view of ourselves. And that can slowly change who we are. I feel like that's why maybe over time, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these crowds, but for an example, people who become overweight and they lose a bunch of weight. And I'm not saying that this is everyone who does this, but there is a crowd, and at times I felt that their beliefs and their statements on this are fairly true, where it can be to a point where it's not necessarily motivation that can be used to spur all of these opportunities and spur this change, but more or less the overall actions of these thoughts, where it can be very unenjoyable to live in one place. You can say all you want. I'm not trying to be the person, fat jokes. Oh, that fat joke. If you know Bazinga, Sidemen, love that. There's a group of people on the internet, whether they live behind the screens or even in real life, where they can talk as much as they want to talk about people who are overweight. They can make jokes. They can do whatever they like. They have their own beliefs and they have their own choices. And here's the flip side of inner belief. Sometimes that doesn't always make someone change in their opinions. As I've talked about how, maybe an outside perspective can lead to us making a change for the better. Belief is not only the action of thinking for ourselves and thinking of who we are and what we do and who we can be, but also reacting to how other people may view us and how we see ourselves. You can look at, I know the NBA Finals is happening, you could look at some of the NBA players. That's why I feel a lot of athletes, they don't go on social media to get rid of this perspective. But you could look at how there are people, and I'm one of them at these watch parties. I don't post them on the internet, but in the moment, I let it flow freely, where it's not being recorded. Where people are saying they're the worst athletes in the world, that they made a stupid mistake. I'm recording this after Game 2 for reference. Victor Wembanyama's been getting a lot of flack in the back end of the fourth quarter with the final around 30 seconds or so. It was a 1-point game. He got the ball off of a miss and meant to pass to someone who wasn't looking at him, Stephon Castle. It hit off of Castle's back. Ultimately, Jalen Brunson got the ball, split the free throws, and eventually, with that one free throw he made, it ended up becoming and leading to a Knicks win, because Victor Wembanyama had a right elbow jumper, he missed, and they put up a random flick as the clock and before the clock expired, and that was it. And granted, at the watch party where it's very pro Knicks, we can make jokes and whatnot. There's so much, I wouldn't say negativity, it could be. But people, when it comes to their beliefs and when it comes to watching sports and other athletes, they can talk. And they can talk a fair bit. And the talk right now, and the funny thing is, when this goes up, Game 3 will have been played, so everything could change by then. But the talk right now, as I'm recording this, is heavily, I wouldn't say anti-Wembanyama, but a lot of people have been getting on him for how the first 2 games went. And it's not to say he did bad necessarily. He came through fairly, especially in Game 2. In the second quarter, he scored over 20 points, but he didn't do anything in the first. And at the end of the day, people with their beliefs will only remember certain things. They're not going to remember that he scored 20-something points the second quarter of Game 2 of the Finals, for Wembanyama, that is. People will think and will remember him missing the potential game-winning shot. The thing about belief is not only what we think of ourselves, but understanding that other people will say a lot of things about us. And especially in the form of athletes, I feel like at the end of the day, I'm not saying they're not able to take in any criticism, but a lot of people will talk and they know it's just talk. That's how sometimes we have to be with how beliefs are and other people have when it comes to their beliefs against us. Another factor about belief that we can sense, and this partially goes in congruence to self-belief, but our belief in other people and our beliefs in other people. Let's say you want something. You want that job, that position. You want that relationship. You want insert something. It can be, at times, whether we tell it to ourselves or not something that we can see very easily. On the relationship side of sense, I was thinking about this today. I feel like belief, and more often, I'm not saying this is just men, I feel like women do it too. It is so easy for us to believe and think that this person would be perfect for us. But because maybe this person is either really attractive or, in our eyes, as I've talked about, maybe out of our league. Did a video about that. If you want to watch that, check out the channel. And it's so easy for that belief to come back and slap us upside the head. It's so easy for that belief to say, why would this person even spend time with me? And this isn't just in relationships. I feel like in times when we're trying to just make friends with other people, or we're trying to do networking, it is so easy for us to believe and have a belief that someone doesn't have the time for us, that someone won't respond to us, that someone does not care about us. And yes, I understand a lot of people do not care about you specifically because they're so focused caring about themselves. But at times I feel like we have this hyper-specificity, or hyper-specificity. You know what I'm trying to say. We have this tendency where we find that potential fit, whether it be a future employer, whether it be a potential partner, or someone that we can envision ourselves having a future with. And because we see that future, and because it's grand as it is, not that it's always grand once it happens, it can be very easy, depending on how we view ourselves, to shoot that down. Whether we work off of our past experiences or of other people's past experiences, we can also believe that this person will react to us in a specific way. Again, whether it's being aired out, whether it's be no response, whether it be an ew, no. Our mind and our beliefs sometimes can foresee that potential future. The thing is, again, it's a potential future. We don't have control of what this person will say back to us or how they will respond. But we also shouldn't be going in with the mindset of, I think this is going to go bad. I think this is going to go wrong. I think this is going to suck. I think at the end of the day, I'm going to come out of this looking a little bland, a little sad. What happened to believing that other people, because at the end of the day, they're all human beings, are able and can give common courtesy back to you? Maybe look at belief in others through that lens instead. Look through that lens of, I'm going to send a message, or I'm going to try to talk to them. I believe, and my belief is, that they will talk back to me. I'm not saying, go as far to say this is going to be the deepest conversation of our entire lives. I'm not saying it can't happen, but there's a reason why it only happens once or twice, if not a handful, if someone lives a long life. maybe the part of belief, especially when interacting and getting to know other people, isn't just getting past what we and what our deepest fears are, what our deepest fears can come through belief in past patterns. What if it's instead going into every perspective and every chance we have in life with the idea that this can be good, that the idea that this person can be great, and then regardless of whether that person gets back to you and you hit it off, or whether they don't show interest, or whether they're busy with their own lives, as we all are, you yourself included, and don't even see it until maybe a week or two, maybe a day or two, if not a week or two, maybe even a month later, and then all of a sudden they say, oh my God, especially if it's over text or email, I'm so sorry, I've been busy. Here's how I answer your question, and let me answer whatever you want to ask. What happened to that? I think that's another thing we can add to ourselves. We need to shift how belief is for us. For inner beliefs, for our self-beliefs. Instead of going, I can't do this, say this, I'm not afraid to do this. A few I've been using recently when I've been working out and I'm sweating like crazy, as I am sweating because it's 80 degrees outside and I'm recording this. I'm partially at times telling myself I feel alive. Or in other perspectives, if I'm doing a workout that I've done before, I'm saying, I've done this workout before, I can do this again. Or maybe it's a certain set, and I could say, I've done this set before, I can do it again. Or this is the last time I have to do X amount of reps for some exercise. I can do whatever's next. And when we look to other people and to the world, why don't we take a step back from going down rabbit holes? And I'm not saying ignore our deepest fears, because they will show up. But how about we go into any interaction, any conversation, with positive thoughts and positive beliefs in our mind? And what if you embody all of that together and you grow as time goes on through your life? I feel like when you do, you'll find yourself a lot happier. And the world as we know it might not be as dark as it seems, but rather one that is full of light that we cannot wait to explore.
Bonus content.
I'm not a Knicks fan. Knicks went up 2-0. I watched the second game. Again, this is recorded on the Saturday. I really want the Knicks to win. I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm from New York. I'm from the area. I'm in the Northeast. And it's been a while. So that would be really cool. But think about belief. I'm not something that isn't taught. I feel like it's a wide range of people are talking about it. I know what some cases are saying. Some people I follow, Delulu is the Salulu. You have to be delusional in order to get what you want. I'm not saying that doesn't work. I partially wanted to mention it in the main talk. I didn't. If you want me to talk more about that and maybe see an experiment with that in my life and see where it's gotten me, let me know. But have some belief. Have some belief in yourself. Have some belief in other people, not just your friends, but the strangers you meet. And have some more belief in the world and just see where it gets you. Bye now.